Okay, so we're continuing our series on rapture, okay? And we're looking at it in the Bible and we're looking at it in history. Now, I say rapture, but I'm going to start changing the phrase that I'm using now. So I'm going to try to train myself to refer to the gathering of the saints when I'm talking about the biblical idea. And I will refer to pre-tribulation rapture or pre-trib rapture. I'll try to keep that on there so that we understand that term rapture is exclusively pre-trib rapture. Okay? So we're going to try to make a distinction here. The gathering of the saints, that's the biblical idea, and pre-trib rapture is a heretical one that Darby invented. Whether it existed before is irrelevant. Darby invented it. That's where the church today has it from. We didn't dig it up from the church fathers. The churches today, all the churches who believe in pre-trib rapture, every believer who believes in pre-trib rapture today got it from Darby. They didn't get it from the church fathers. They had to go back and dig through the church fathers to see if there were references. So it's a diversion. It has nothing to do with the issue. It came from Darby, and the church has not believed it. So let's listen to this guy. His name is Sooth Keep. Okay, he's a very analytical guy, maybe an engineer or a programmer. He speaks like a programmer who thinks he knows it all, but he doesn't know anything. You know, this kind of person. I mean, they know everything about like the specific details, but they can't perceive what the important things are to analyze. They analyze great, but they can't perceive what the important things are to analyze, so they analyze things that are like a waste of time. I'm not going to waste your time here, okay? I'm going to deal with something that not only he focuses on, but others who support the pre-trib rapture focus on. And that's Revelation 3:10. But he's focusing on a certain Greek phrase. We're going to talk about that. Interestingly enough, just yesterday, the Lord said, look at this closely, tereo. It's a Greek word. And it's one that's been coming up in the translations I'm doing. I did Revelation 20. I just completed the book of Jude. That was a book I first translated long ago. But I came back to it, translated it fresh. That's finished. The book of Jude's done, all 25 verses. And then there's some other things I'm translating. So this phrase has come up quite a bit in this translation work recently that I've been doing. So he said, look at this. And it means to guard with an eye, like keeping an eye on, an eye of attention on. To guard and keeping an eye of attention on. Okay, so that's what tereo means. Now many people will translate it to keep, but that's not correct. It doesn't have enough detail in the information. It doesn't have enough information and detail in it to understand what keep. Because keep is a very general word. Keep can mean many different things. So like if you look it up in Strong's, the tereo, it'll say the definition that I've given you, but it'll also then talk about one or two other words that are the same kind of idea of keep, but keep in a different sense. Okay? So like to keep, to prevent them from leaving, like in prison. That's to keep. To protect them from harm. That's to keep. To guard them, just to watch them, not to prevent them from leaving, but just to keep an eye on them, make sure everything's okay, or see what they're doing. That's what tereo is. So keep is too general, because then you can with a sleight of hand, just move it a little bit this way. When you want to support pre-trib rapture, move it a little bit this way. When you want to support once saved, always saved, and never get it on the mark. So let's go ahead and I'm going to play it a little differently this time. I'm just going to play the audio. I've got the video on here, and I've got my speakers here. I hope it turns out well. We'll see.
Could be addressed in this verse, all of them valuable, but today I'm going to laser focus on the phrase keep from, because the meaning of the phrase keep from really weighs heavily on the meaning of keep from the hour of trial. Now, in my mind, the phrase is clear in English. It means keep from, not keep through, not preserve while in. And in the Greek, it's equally clear. Keep from means keep from, not keep through.
So he hasn't clarified the issue yet. And if he really had done any kind of Greek study into the word, he would have realized that there are other words with similar meaning that may overlap a little bit or may contrast that also are within this keep idea. And then he would have looked at it and clarified the word by looking at the root of the words, for example. But he didn't. And the reason he didn't is because he thinks that by doing that, he has a solid argument in favor of pre-trib rapture. This is the repeated complaint I have about these people, is that they come to the scriptures looking for that. They don't come to the scriptures listening to the scriptures. They come to the scriptures looking for proof of what they believe in as a cult. They are a cult, 100% cult. You cannot sit down and have a discussion with them because they're just like sitting down and trying to have a discussion about the Bible with a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I met a Jehovah's Witness here in Ukraine who was a programmer, and he was ostracized by all his fellow programmers because he was trying to be pure to the Lord. They have a different Lord, but still, that's what he's trying to do. And the men around him didn't like that, so he's ostracized quite often. So I showed up, and because I'm so dedicated and serious as a believer, a follower of Jesus Christ, he enjoyed being able to have a discussion about the Bible. But it wasn't really a discussion. It turned out to be a monologue all the time. He was always trying to tell me, not having a discussion about it. It's like, well, okay, what do you think this verse means? Or, well, let's look at this. What does it say? Instead, he was trying to indoctrinate me. He kept telling me, well, this is what the Jehovah's Witnesses say this means. He says this, and this kind of thing. And so this is the attitude, the mentality these people have, is that they're bringing in, just like Jehovah's Witnesses, they're bringing what the Jehovah's Witnesses think it should be, and then trying to force it with a hammer, to make it fit. And then taking a saw and sawing off pieces of the scripture, and then trying to fit it into their preconceived notions of a pre-trib rapture. All right, let's keep going.
Taking up the common objection, not keep through. Let's start by taking up the common objection. Those that oppose the pre-tribulation rapture understanding of Revelation 3:10 love to take us to John chapter 17, verse 15, and point out that tereo ek is used in this verse. There we read, I do not pray that you...
All right, so now he's chasing a straw man. He's trying to knock down a straw man. He's created this argument that I've never heard anyone make the argument before against pre-trib rapture. Really, if anyone did make this argument, it would be stupid. But I've never heard it before. I've never seen it anywhere before. So if he's heard it before, it's from one person. Maybe a relative made this argument or something. He's saying that's the common argument. It's not the common argument against pre-trib rapture. No one I know has ever taken people to John 17 to argue, where it says, I do not ask that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil one. And then saying that keep from is the same as the keep from in Revelation 3:10. Of course it's not. And he makes this argument analyzing it, saying it's apples and oranges, and he adequately does address that. But it's smoke and mirrors. It's not the issue. The issue is that word, keep from. So let's go ahead and talk about Revelation 3:10. In fact, I've got it right here in front of me. All right. And in the King James, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell on the earth. Now, I need to back up here because I actually started too late in this video. So I want you to hear what he has to say about Revelation 3:10, because this is the beginning of the video. It's like, how many seconds in? It's 32 seconds in to the video. And he lies right at the start. I mean, he like bold-faced lies. Here we go.
Favorite pre-tribulation rapture passage is Revelation 3:10. Because you have kept the word of my patience, or the matter of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of trial, or the hour of tribulation, which is coming upon the whole world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Okay, you hear how he said tribulation in there? Did you catch that? Okay, let me back up just a little bit.
One of my favorite verses in the Bible,
Dramatic music.
and my favorite pre-tribulation rapture passage is Revelation 3:10. Because you have kept the word of my patience, or the matter of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of trial, or the hour of tribulation, which is coming upon the whole world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
To keep you from the hour of trial or tribulation. It doesn't say tribulation anywhere. It doesn't. The word for tribulation is literally pressure. That's what it means. It literally means pressure. Exactly, literally, pressure. That's what tribulation means. And it is not in the passage. In fact, it is a word that is diametrically opposite of pressure. And that's piercing. Because pressure is a blunt, distributed force that doesn't puncture. But piercing punctures. It tests by puncturing. That's what that word means, to test, to try to puncture something and test it. But pressure is not testing it. Okay? Pressure is not testing it. So the tribulation is not an hour of testing. They are not the same thing. So what this passage is referring to is not the tribulation. It's a period of testing, of trial, of testing, not a period of pressure. They're different. They're different things, different ideas. But he specifically says, or tribulation. And tribulation is not in the passage at all. He's lied right from the start, just like I showed in the other video about disciple Robert lying in exactly the same way, but in writing, where he inserted rapture saints in a passage from Esdras, 2nd Esdras, that he put in his document that's on his website. And then he says, oh, see, it's very clear that tribulation saints are in this passage. Well, yeah, because he wrote it in there. He put it in parentheses out or something, and he didn't say that he put that in there. So someone coming to it, no one reads 2nd Esdras, right? They come here, they read this, they go, oh, wow, it mentions exactly rapture saints. And he doesn't say it doesn't. He doesn't say he put it in there. He doesn't say he's speculating. Instead, he says, oh, the passage clearly mentions it. And so he deceives them into thinking that is in that scripture. And this guy does the same thing when he says, or tribulation. No, not or tribulation. It's not tribulation at all. Not only that, you have to ask yourself, because there are two keeps in this verse. Because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of testing. Even those who know English know those are two different keeps. The first one is to obey, right? To keep my word. To keep the word of my patience. To keep my word means to obey. Not just to put it on a shelf and hold it there. That kind of keep. And then this one, I also will keep you from, like hold you from, so you don't have to go through that. But the Greek word doesn't mean that. So let's look at the Greek here a minute. We'll pull that up. And they are the same Greek word. And it doesn't mean keep, as I have already said. It means to guard with an eye upon. It's like to guard with an eye upon, paying attention to, with an eye upon. So because you have guarded with an eye upon my word of patience, I also will guard you with an eye upon you from out of the hour of testing. Not prevent you. It's not. It's to guard and watch you until you are out of. So, yeah. When you say from out of, with guarding and watching you from out of the hour of testing, it doesn't mean preventing you from going into it. It means that he's going to watch you attentively and guard you until you're out of it. That's the natural meaning of that. So that's why these men are very, very slippery and slimy. And a lot of them look very nice, very well kept, very orderly. This guy's got a pair of glasses on. His hair is kept short. He's wearing a collared shirt, very respectful. Then you've got disciple Robert. Sometimes he dresses a little bit effeminate, which I've thought about calling him on. And sometimes he's just wearing a t-shirt, sometimes a collared shirt. You never can tell. I'm wearing a t-shirt today myself. Usually I wear a collared shirt, but because it's so hot, I've been wearing a little lighter garments. And so these men appear like they are being respectful as Christians. Disciple Robert is very nice, very polite guy, maybe even handsome. I don't know, you have to ask the girls. But, he's got this charisma about him, and he uses it. He absolutely uses it. But that doesn't make what he's saying true. And that brings us back to Jacob 2:1. Jacob 2:1. I'm going to read it to you from the Rooted Word. Jacob 2:1. Pull up therootedword.com and go to Select Book, scroll down and hit Jacob. And hit the common, TRW common, and we're going to scroll down to 2:1. And it says, "My brothers, you must stop holding to the persuasion of the Lord Jesus Christ of glory, and at the same time, this persuasion by appearances, mannerisms, and self-presentations." You cannot hold to a persuasion of the appearances, the mannerisms, and the self-presentations of a person. You cannot be persuaded by that. And also be persuaded of Jesus Christ as Lord of glory. You cannot. You've got to stop it. That's what we're talking about here. So I hope that that's clarified Revelation 3:10 just by talking about that word. And the word for, let me just talk about one more word before I end this out. Right? Because thou hast guarded with an eye upon the word of my patience, I also will guard thee with an eye upon from out of the hour of temptation. It's not from it, it's from out of, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Now notice you have world and earth. And that should put your ears up and think, hold on, is that the same word or is that two different words? What are we talking about? So it's the first one, world, it's the inhabited part of the surface. Not the whole world. It's the inhabited part of the surface. It's the place where men dwell. Yeah. Everywhere. Everywhere that men dwell. that human beings dwell. Sorry. Everywhere that human beings dwell. That's what that first one means, the world. So it says, I also will guard with an eye upon thee from out of the hour of piercing. Temptation is piercing, which shall come upon all the places that men dwell, that human beings dwell, to try them. They have dwell here, that dwell upon the earth. Let me see, maybe the word's in there twice. Yeah, the word's in there twice. Yeah, that's right. To dwell accordingly is literally what that verb is. To try them that dwell accordingly upon the earth. And so now that makes sense, right? Instead of using the word world, but using where all human beings dwell. To try them that dwell accordingly upon the earth. And to try them means, it's again that word pierce. To pierce them. Keep you from the hour of piercing. To pierce them that dwell upon the earth. It's a trial by piercing. So that's what it is. It's a trial by piercing. Okay, so I hope that this has clarified that passage, that verse a little bit for you. That now when you look at it, you can see more clearly what it says. And that it doesn't support pre-trib rapture at all. Absolutely not at all. Now, how he's going to guard us with an eye upon us from out of that, we don't know. How he does that is based on the situations that arise. This is the application of it. And the particular application of it depends on the particular circumstances that happen at that time. So if you are alive at that time, you're not going to be raptured up to be with Christ before this. Because first off, this isn't the tribulation. It's not. It's not the tribulation. Does the tribulation last 1 hour? You say, Ron, but that's figurative. Then why isn't the 7 years figurative? Or 3.5, depends on how you calculate it. Why? Why is one figurative and not the other? 7 is just completion. So maybe it's just referring to that whole system and up to the time when it's completed. It could be 1,000 years. It could be 1,500 years. It could be 13 years. It could be anything. Why couldn't that 7 years be also symbolic? And yet this 1 hour is symbolic, but that's not. You're picking and choosing whatever you want it to be. You've got to be consistent. So either this is 1 hour, and it's going to be 1 hour of testing upon all who dwell upon the earth, or this is symbolic and also the 7 years is symbolic. And stop trying to calculate out the tribulation. May the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart. Remember to subscribe down below and like the video and share it on your Facebook and other social media. And then make a comment, whether a question or a comment. We read all of them, and we try to respond to all. Get on over to our website, The Rooted Word, and start reading the translation and also the articles we've posted. It's at therootedword.com, therootedword.com. And may the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart.